Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 448 for Wednesday. It must be, April 13th, 2022. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host for this week's adventure into advanced tech mobility and sustainable energy. We have a big show. We have tons of ground to cover, and I have a wonderful panel. Let me introduce them, and we will get this show on the road. She is a writer, a director, an actor. She does everything, and an activist, Georgia McKenzie.
Hey everybody, I feel tired just hearing that from you.
You're amazing.
It's so tiring. God, I'm tiresome. Welcome to the show, everybody, and we hope you are having a reasonably good week. It's a Wednesday, so we're almost there. You're almost hitting that Friday.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And speaking of amazing, he had glasses until a minute ago. He's doing the Clark Kent and the Superman. It's Mr. Casey Green.
How's it going? So I did a video on the Rivian R1T. My buddy picked his up here in DC and then drove it back to South Carolina. So you can check that out on the channel.
Wow, a Rivian
R1T. Launch edition.
Did you take it apart or anything?
No, well, I did sit in it. We took some photos. We talked about it. It was cool.
Right on.
He asked if I wanted to drive it, but it already drove somebody who worked for the companies, and it was, he had 6 miles on it. I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, let him put those initial miles on it. He is our technical expert. He is the owner and founder of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzek.
Hey, glad to be back, and let's hear about this new Toyota something.
Something. I think it's 4 something.
Alphabet soup.
That car with a stupid name.
It's the car. I like to think of it as Elon's third. Oh no, it's like his 5th or 6th
bastard
child.
Stepchild.
Yeah. It's Elon's bastard stepchild. Ooh, I like that a lot. And our friend doing his very best Ali G impression this week, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello out there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Let's get it rolling.
Yay, thank you so much. And last and certainly not least, he is the founder of the Waterloo Region Electric Vehicle Association. He is the host and the founder of the Tesla Life, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. And I just want to point out that Russell called it the bZ.
I
for
did.
People that are above the lower 48. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. You watched the review. Oh, praise you, my son. Praise you. Yes, and I did. And in fact, I think I gave John credit right away that
He did.
Yeah, John is. Thank you, Casey, for watching. Because and I honestly, he said that and it's stuck in my brain. So,
well, they made it sound less stupid.
You know what? I can't agree with you more. I don't like. I understand the nomenclature. They've explained it. I've explained it. Beyond 0, 4 is the size. X is the form.
It's like a designation. It's not a name. Yeah.
It's like a genome. It's not a name.
Right, and all the other cars that have alphabet soup, they letters, numbers, done, or numbers, letter, done, not back and forth.
Well, and the small b, big Z. Oh,
yeah,
my brain hurts. That stinks like an ad agency. We focus group this, and they like the small b and the big Z. The ad agency.
The capital letters made them feel power and exhilaration, and the small letter made it feel informal and approachable.
Casey was on that focus group, I can tell.
Wow, I'm impressed.
If anybody needs a consultant, Casey's available.
I would, spend your money on Casey Green, folks. Patrick was kind enough to pre-submit some questions so I could get up some answers and kind of have that. So that's kind of where I'm going to start. After what
are you talking about? Just to be clear, let's get some baseline.
So Toyota's third electric vehicle has debuted to the media yesterday, in fact. You will notice on our YouTube channel, that's at youtube.com/whatdrivesus, there are 4 new videos, 2 shorts and 2 longs, that give you the kind of whole lay down of the thing, the layout, lay down, lay in, I don't know, whatever, the outline. And there's lots of me kind of stream of consciousness mumbling and opinionating while I'm driving it. Funny to me, our friend John Bolker, who is an esteemed writer and has been for decades, I read one of John's first published pieces, and it was like literally we were like quoting each other. And we weren't at the event together. We have exchanged no information. And it makes me feel nice, not because I'm as erudite or articulate as John, but just that we kind of saw the same things. And over and over again, this car is such a Toyota. And I say that, and it sounds maybe like I'm exasperated. It's a compliment as well as a description. Because there's a lot of car companies that would love to have Toyota's reputation for durability, for reliability, for build quality, for value. And it's really close to cold oatmeal in some ways.
Nobody ever got fired for buying IBM, Russell.
Which, right. Yeah, thank you. Right, plastics.
Or 1992 Corolla.
I mean, it's the other side of it is it's again, and I'll spoil the videos. Please watch them, share them, to tell a friend. But it's fun to drive. It really is. It's a peppy car for a heavy SUV style vehicle that can't be very aerodynamic. It is. It's fun to drive. It's not Tesla fast. Anyone on this panel surprised that it's not Tesla fast?
Tesla fast costs extra money.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. But that's just not Toyota anyway, right? I mean, that's just not even their fast cars are. You got to get to Lexus before you start getting cars that are really kind of tear your hair off fast.
So what is the 0 to 60 time? Like 7 seconds?
Depending on which one you have. If you have, and I'm going to give you the exact numbers here, 7.1 seconds for front-wheel drive, 6.5 seconds for all-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive is the upper trim, and I'm here to tell you and I didn't mention this in the video, interesting, so here's a little tidbit. The all-wheel drive drives, and I'm going to put it in quotes, significantly better than the front-wheel drive. The front-wheel drive feels a little top-heavy to me, which is weird because there's only 180 pounds of difference. But the all-wheel drive is much more sure-footed. It's a little peppier, just the tiniest bit. It's more fun.
And if you live in Colorado, you should be getting the all-wheel drive anyway.
There you go. That's
maybe not so much maybe not so much in sunny California, but
the other car with a 4 number, the Volkswagen ID4, I didn't expect it to be so much faster. Not that 7 seconds, years ago that would have been a supercar, but I didn't expect them to have so much distance between each other on the 0 to 60.
It's like any SUV, like any electric vehicle, it feels faster than that. Yeah. I don't think most average vehicle buyers are going to get in this car and feel like, oh, it's only 7 seconds. No wonder.
Right. Because if you're coming from gas, there's all that crap that it has to happen where the car spins up, shifts gears, downshifts, and on electric, you push the button and it goes. So if they're coming from that, it'll feel like a 6-second car like that.
The 0 to 30 is
that part.
What you really feel taking off from a light, and
and you definitely get pushed back into the seat a little bit, and I think that's what everybody expects and everybody wants. They want that to feel like they have more horsepower. But I don't.
And that certainly will be dramatic for people that are switching from gas to electric. So if there's a bunch of people out there that are loyal to Toyota and we're waiting for a Toyota electric vehicle, it's going to wow their socks off. It really is, because it's such a difference. People don't understand. It's, as Patrick said, that 0 to 30 is such a difference between a gas car and an electric car that you feel you're going really fast when really you're not.
Right, and even if they're coming from a Synergy drive vehicle, they'll be familiar with it doing what they ask it to do instantly. But those motors are a lot smaller than the ones for an EV, so you'll still feel it.
Oh, definitely. So that's the front wheel drive, not quite as fast as the all wheel drive. Let's see. Patrick's other question was range. Well, you see price. We'll start with price. Front wheel drive, the cheaper version. There's 2 trims, $42,000, $46,700 for the limited. The all-wheel drive is $44,000. The all-wheel drive limited, $48,780. There's add-ons and other charges and fees, but that gives you a rough estimate.
They
And in
express any
Canada,
regret-
it's going to be $44,900 as the starting
Wow.
price, and that just gets it under the $5,000 federal rebate program,
Mhm.
so they will qualify.
Did they express any regret at wasting their tax credits on 11-mile plugins before this? Because now they're almost out, and this car just hit the market.
That's no. I mean, number one, no car companies come out and go, "Wow, we really screwed the pooch on the last thing. We're gonna fix it." You know, nobody says that, and especially Toyota. They're very stoic, and I don't think anybody actually called them down on the mat, at least out in public on that.
But if you are gonna get it early before they run out of credits.
I mean,
Right,
everybody
yeah.
wants the tax credit. I get that, but I think the other side of it is, I don't think Toyota's worried about. They're probably going to sell everyone they can at the price with or without the tax credit.
And we've seen that with Tesla and Chevy. They ran out of credits years ago, and they're still selling everyone they make.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Paul.
I was just say, did they say where they're made? Are they Japanese made or North American made?
Japanese made.
Oh,
So that's
they're
good
gonna-
for build quality, but
Yeah.
may restrict it from any future tax credits that appear.
I mean, we couldn't. I mean, they thought about building the Prius here briefly, and then a recession hit, and they decided not to. I don't know. You know, I don't know if that's a decision they regret or if the decision they feel was justified long term. But yeah, I get it.
Does it share any bones with any other cars of theirs?
I'm sorry, does it share any? Well, it's so with Toyotas, it's their new TNGA. This is E-TNGA architecture. It's the first Toyota to use that. Of course, this car is nearly identical to another car from another car company, Subaru, the Solterra. It's the same
The
car.
real name, a good name.
Oh, but hold on. If it's Subaru hasn't sold 200,000 EVs, so that's the workaround to get the
there
tax
you go.
credit. Buy the
Yeah.
Subaru version, and then
It looks
just
better
go
anyway.
buy some badges from Toyota and stick on Toyota badges.
I mean,
And you just made $7,500.
arguably, no, I think the Subaru is a little more expensive because there's no front wheel drive. They're all wheel drive,
Right.
yada, yada. But yeah, I mean, so maybe it's a wash. Maybe you save a few grand. I mean,
I wonder how they get around that in Canada.
I don't know.
Canada has
That's a good
different
question.
tax credits.
Well, I meant because like the front wheel drive just barely eked under there. What Mark was showing us, and
Yeah, they have to have a base model that's under 44.9 in order for it to qualify. So if
Well-
Subaru doesn't do that, then it's not going to qualify.
Right.
Oh, so even Toyota's all-wheel drive qualifies because the base model is
Right.
under. I see.
Correct.
yes.
Subaru's just going to be out of luck
like the 150-mile Model 3.
I will have to check and see what Subaru's doing.
unless they list the Toyota as their base model.
Yeah, I haven't. Buy a Subaru, get a Toyota. I haven't seen the pricing on the Solterra. I've seen good reviews, and I would expect it because now that I've driven the BZ, yeah, I mean, I see what's going on here. It's very classically Toyota.
So they got Toyota got Subaru to tune the four-wheel drive on both cars, right?
Correct. That was part of
Really?
the partnership. Was that
I mean, what does Subaru know about electric four-wheel drive systems?
Without
Well, I
a drive
think-
shaft, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Maybe just the feel. It has to feel like a Subaru four-wheel drive.
Let's go back to that focus group and go Subaru, a brand intimately associated with all-wheel drive. That's good. We're going to use that. We're going to run
Yeah.
with that.
And dog owners.
Yeah, and
And dog owners. And a couple other things.
we are
Especially in the
not
Portland
going.
area.
You know, click and clack. You know, you weld the heat shield on there. You know, other things.
Let's see. So what else? Front-wheel drive, range. Everybody wants to know range, and I'm going to just say this so I can irritate my good friend John Volker, which is range and charging on this car. I don't think matter to anybody who's going to buy it, and we can disagree. I might be wrong. John's very frequently right. I'm very frequently wrong, and sometimes the reverse of that. But so the EPA range of the front-wheel drive is 252 miles. The EPA range of the all-wheel drive version is 228 miles.
All you need.
Does anybody care about Mpge numbers?
No.
Sure, why not?
Actually,
Go for it.
Oh,
if your range is over 220 usable, then that's all you need, because these charging networks for everybody are proliferating. The only way that would be a bad thing is if for some reason instead of CCS they chose CHAdeMO, which thankfully they did not.
They did not. Yeah. No, it's all CCS.
George asked for Mpge. So
Yes, Mpge numbers. So Mpge numbers for the front wheel drive: 131 in the city, 107 highway, 119 combined. For the XLE, the all-wheel drive, it's 114 city, 94 highway, and 104 combined. A more interesting number, and I've got to go back.
Why you load that? Coming in over 100 means they tried.
Yeah, exactly. When you asked if anybody wanted to hear it, I said no, but now I'm glad you said them, because even just any old
Mine's
EV
89.
crushes gas, and that's just awesome to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A number that I was really interested in that Toyota hasn't published yet because they don't have EPA certification. So this is a pre-EPA number, but I think it's one that Toyota feels is accurate enough to quote. Front-wheel drive efficiency numbers. In other words, how many miles per kilowatt hour does this vehicle go? That tells you how efficiently it uses electricity. Anybody want to guess?
3.5.
I'll say 4.
I've been conditioned to think in watt hours per mile now. I used to do kilowatt hours per mile.
Oh, okay.
So say it that way.
Under 300.
So
Thank you, Patrick.
3.2.
3.2. Paul is staggeringly close to being exactly correct. Front-wheel drive runs between 3.6 and 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. All-wheel drive, 3.1 to 3.0 miles per kilowatt hour.
That's not bad for a heavy car.
I was going to say, it's not bad for a heavy car. I think the last car that I remembered that number on that we reviewed was, I want to say it was the Ioniq Electric, or maybe it was the Soul EV. But I mean, those cars both were like in the high 4s.
Mm-hmm.
Much lighter cars.
The Ioniq was particularly good.
And I think Leafs are over 4, right?
Yeah. So a much lighter car, much smaller form factor. It's easier to use that electricity more efficiently. But again, that's sort of that balance is you got to have bigger batteries if you're not using electricity efficiently, which makes the car way heavier. And there's a whole bunch of things going on there.
And now you got to get more batteries to combat the weight of the heavier battery. It's like the plane and the rocket equation. They both, you want to make them as efficient as possible so you're not stuck in that never-ending cycle.
Yeah, the efficiency is interesting, but the range is what practically matters, right?
Yes.
Can it get me where I need to go? And there's certainly going to be some people who say, anything in the 200s? What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. I want 400 miles or whatever. But okay,
but that's just people in Wyoming.
Yeah, exactly. If you buy a vehicle if you understand your driving needs and you buy a vehicle that fits it, it's going to be great. I only have 257 in my vehicle, and I've driven down to San Diego and back from Portland up here a couple times. So if you have a good charging network supporting it, it's great. And I had an EV before that only had 40 miles of range. So I use that for commuting and errands, and it worked great. I'm not going to take a road trip in that. That's ridiculous. And then I had a Leaf in between that had 75 miles of range. And so if you have the vehicle that you need for your needs, that's what matters. And 200 plus miles is going to work for a lot of people. If you're just driving around in your little island of the world, most people don't go more than 50 miles from their home. They go to school and work and the gym and shopping and whatever. And 200 miles, you're going to do that in a day. You plug in your garage overnight. The next day it starts out full again. And so this could be a really awesome vehicle for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in that whole spec thing where you look at a number and go, "Ooh, this number's better than this number," but is it? And that's the
or does it really
context
matter if it is?
Yeah,
depending on the spec. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the interior better than the exterior on that thing.
Ooh. Okay. I mean, I fixate on the weird little things in cars. So, any Star Trek fans here?
Oh yeah.
Any Star Trek Next Generation fans here?
All of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that the name of the? You said it was the TNG as of what I was thinking of.
Right? Thank you. So there's a fabric covering the dashboard of this vehicle,
Yeah.
which kind of blows my mind. It's beautiful from a texture and aesthetic perspective. I don't know that I want fabric on my dash, but it is the exact same fabric in Worf's sash from the Next Generation. I mean, it is exactly the same fabric.
Oh man. I do also think that space in the back above the phone charger should be a screen, even at a high trim level option. Like it's just like forehead.
Did you look on the back of the car? Did it happen to be the Star Trek edition?
I no, that actually then you get the little pins that Worf had on the sash, and they're stuck in the dash. And I think there's one of those big two-handled knives under the front seat.
Yes, a bat lift.
Okay. Two of you know the name of the damn knife.
So instead of the bZ4X, it should have been the Toyota Wharf.
Oh.
You know, I actually support that.
Then they had to pay Paramount for their name.
I mean, come on, how many Eddie Bauer expeditions did Ford sell, for God's sakes? We can certainly have a Star Trek edition bZ4X.
Yes, we can.
But then Bruce,
you know, it does
Bruce Nelson
sound like
pointed
a
out
ship.
that, they lost out to Aptera on that.
See? Let's see, what else? More Patrick questions. So if you buy the front-wheel drive, you're going to get a battery pack made by Panasonic. If you buy the all-wheel drive, you will get battery packs made by Cattle. And if you're not familiar with CATL, they're an enormous company that makes batteries for everyone in China.
That's very interesting. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. And Toyota was not commenting on the differences in chemistry, except to say they are very similar performance-wise. Why? I have no clue at all. Maybe
form factor for the extra drivetrain stuff.
I'm thinking it's supply chain insurance.
Right. They want to have two suppliers and have a supply from both.
But if the Cattle batteries are lithium iron phosphate, then they actually can be used and abused a lot better than the Panasonic high nickel batteries.
Again, yes, but
we don't know.
And
they could have contracted Cattle to build high nickel batteries.
The gazillion nickel metal hybrid batteries that Panasonic made for Toyota are bulletproof.
I'm going to guess that Toyota
had the lithium.
There's
different chemistry, but the company builds a quality product.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going to say have a little, boy, and this almost hurts me to say it out loud, but have a little faith in Toyota in that I don't think it really matters.
Right.
You know what I mean? Other than as something curious
warranty,
to us.
Russell.
8 years, 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. Toyota also, I don't have that right here. Toyota is guaranteeing, I want to say, 80% of life after 10 years. Don't quote me on the last one. It's something like that. So 8 years, 100,000 miles. I mean, that's pretty reasonable.
Do they have a
the idea
gauge
that
for you to
there's.
tell?
I'm sorry?
Do they have a gauge for you to tell, like in the Nissan, or do you have to hope and pray and guess, like with Tesla?
What do you think?
I think the latter.
Yeah, it's hope
we're talking
and
about.
Yeah. No one else is going to put gauges in after that was such a debacle with the Leaf. It was too easy to tell that your battery had gone to shit.
That whole percentage thing, I mean, that was like shooting themselves in that foot. Yeah, in the foot. The instrument panel above the steering wheel is, it just makes me crazy. It's like there's a dial for the gear shifter. There's a round dial. You have to push the dial and turn it. Hate that. Hated that. The instrument panel above the steering wheel has like a digital version of that horrible power meter from the Camry Hybrid. You know, like it. I don't.
Like the 80s graphics.
Yeah, it just. I mean, no, it looks nice. It looks okay. It's just honestly like, why would you go with that display and display it in that manner? That whole power charge, and in that sort of antiquated. It's just weird to me.
Are they going to have software updates where they could change that?
Yes. Well, so we don't know what they'll change, but yes, there will be over-the-air updates available for the BZ, and they can, and they said they will do that, offering other services as well. Toyota has a whole host of fun little services that you get at first for free and that you can buy into
And then
later
they turn
on.
off, and you have to pay them to
Like,
adjust your seats.
Like the key. The key is the remote start. Yeah.
You want to adjust your power seats, you got to pay us.
My car won't back up. No, it's not.
Are they going to have an app?
Yes,
You could
there
remote
is a Connect
feed it
app.
and
You can
stuff?
do all kinds of things like scheduling, charging, and checking on things, setting your climate control.
Awesome.
It's actually really cool. The other thing that was really impressive, thank you for bringing that up, this new Toyota Auto Multimedia System, what is up with the naming department at Toyota? Toyota Auto Multimedia System is actually really good. Yes, I said that about an OEM info. Paul's like, no, it can't. It's really good. It
That's
works.
a shocker.
Now, it's not perfect, but there's a wide range of voice commands, and you can get a lot of information out of that car just talking to it. It's really nice.
I was watching your whole. It was like a good minute. You went through a bunch of different stuff that you would never expect that you could ask a car, and it kept going, and it was good.
The famous the one I did for, in fact, Chris. We did an interview with Chris from Toyota on the initial deployment of this Toyota Auto Multimedia System in the Tundra last year, and I asked it one question, and I had my phone just getting a video just for her, and I said, "How many bricks are in Legoland?" Because we're all talking about Legoland. It's like 3 miles from the hotel.
Yeah.
And it thinks for a second, and then it says 30,830,403.
Wow.
And I was like,
What?
that's awesome. I got to tell you, this system is much more responsive than Siri is. It's much.
You didn't get any of the stuff that Siri would have got wrong.
and what's the back end? Is it just Google, or how does it know that?
It's that digital software that all the kids are raving about. I have no idea. I have no idea whose servers. Yeah, I have no idea whose servers they're using or how they're getting this information. But they are.
Now, do you have to pay a monthly airtime fee to use all that?
It does. 3 years? It does, yeah. There is a monthly fee that you can get. It has a built-in modem, obviously, which you can use at the car as a hotspot and a bunch of other things. There's a fee for that. And I think that's in one of the videos. And if not, we're going to make one that does have all that information in it. Because there's like 6 or 8 different services, and I honestly don't remember them off the top of my head. I think to get like the max suite of stuff, I want to say it's like $30 or $40 a month through AT&T Wireless. And then you can use the car as a hotspot. You have all the digital online services, on-demand services. It's the first time I've sat in a vehicle and talked to it and got decent answers back, and it actually, most of the time, did what I wanted it to do. Whether it's show me a map or give me information or reservations. Yes, Patrick, the navigation will show you charging locations along your route or show you charging locations near you. So that's built into the nav system.
And does it also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto?
Yes, both.
Awesome. Yeah, the in-car navigation that is charge aware is important. If you want to go on a road trip, it has to be able to plot that out for you. You can't expect everybody to nerd out and to have their own apps and plan a route and know which things they have to be members of and whatever. Having the vehicle do that for you is the only way to really go to mass market. And that was one of the early Bolt I sat in and asked the sales guy, okay, if I wanted to drive from here to Vegas, can it plot that route for me? And he just floundered, saying, oh, yeah, sure, it can do it. It just has to use OnStar, and let me try this, and let me try that. And then nothing worked. And
you got to use your phone.
Yeah, and right there's the fail for most OEM infotainment systems. As soon as you got to pull out your phone, this is, I need to spend more time in it. Both times I've interacted with the system, I've had very limited time. I haven't had hours. I've had minutes to kind of spend with it. But I got to tell you, way better than what I've seen in the past. So,
Cool.
cheers to them for that.
And
Here's a
when's
question
the
for
car
you.
going to ship?
Should start shipping. They said spring very, very soon. Just going to carb states at first, rolling out to all 50 states through this fall.
Like
No,
this spring?
there are no sales
in
prediction
a month
numbers.
or so?
Yes, like in a month or
Wow.
so.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
Is there
Actually,
any
one of our questions was-
indication as to what the volume is going to be with this vehicle?
No. And
11.
damn it, don't you ask those questions, okay?
11.
Yeah.
So
Because
Russell,
I know with the Rav and the Prius Prime, that they were limited to certain areas, like you said, carb states for the first year, and then after the first year, they rolled out to other states.
But they still primarily focused on carb states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like most of my Colorado buyers of RAV4 Primes have to get them out of state because there's very few showing up in Colorado.
Right. I don't know how well Toyota's going to follow through on what they said, but again, their commitment, shall we say, is that it first introduced in carb states. By this fall, it will be available at dealers in all 50 states, or at least most of them.
Now, it's funny though that even with the shortages of the RAV Prime and the Prius Prime, they still almost sold 200,000 of them. That's pretty significant. You know?
I mean, that makes me happy. I'm glad to see supply limited vehicles at least getting out there in decent numbers. You know,
so one of the after I watched your videos, just the way YouTube does it, it just starts feeding you more of the same. One of the reviews after that said that it was limited to 7,000 in the U.S. this year.
I did not hear that number. I can't say that it's wrong, but
I mean, that sounds about right based on the supply chain stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I would guess, I'll predict they're going to sell every damn one of them. You know, this is a car that this isn't competition for anything. Number one, it's not going to kill anybody. It's not going to kill any other models. It's not going to hurt anybody else's sales. This is a car that's going to be bought by people who bought their Toyotas all their life, that have been waiting for an electric car from Toyota. And
some of the people who bought the first two electric Toyotas.
And Prius owners and whatnot. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to be like Tesla, Toyota, Rivian, Toyota, ID4. You know what I mean? I just don't.
Right. But
they might do it against the ID4. They're comparable.
I would not have bought the Leaf if Toyota had this vehicle out at the time. We had a Prius and we loved it, and then it got totaled, and I would have replaced it with a Toyota electric if they made one at that time in 2016.
But
I would have never bought the Volt if Toyota or similar had something.
Right. So a lot of other I agree with you. Tesla, people are not cross shopping there, but people who wanted a Toyota and then went to something else because they didn't have one. So now they're gonna. So it could end up hurting the Aria or the Bolt or something if people wanted an EV. Toyota didn't offer one. They went somewhere else. Now they can come back, and that might hurt those other brands.
It might. I think everything's still limited enough, apparently, where
the Rivians right now on secondhand are going for over 130 and selling. So I imagine they're going to sell every single one of these because
Okay, yeah, I stand corrected. Yeah, it shouldn't be viewed as this electric versus that electric. It should be electric versus gas. So yeah, the more the merrier. They're all going to sell for a long time.
Absolutely. Cool. And you know what? I my fantasy here is that I get to buy the used RAV4 Prime and somebody trades in on one of these bad boys for a deal.
Oh.
Of course, that's a fantasy because there ain't no deals right now. Although used car prices did drop 3.8% last month.
Yes, I was just going to say that. That's a good sign that new vehicle inventories are increasing and used car prices are starting to drop. Which is, that's like the biggest...
except for used hybrids are going up because gas is gone stupid.
I see.
Yeah, people are learning not to trust this current little dip. That dip is to get you. They're gonna hook you. It's bait. That's bait.
I think the final question that Patrick had was charging. Yes, you get 1 year of free charging through Evgo.
Oh, nice.
For if you buy or lease the bZ.
Right. Yeah, and
So
that makes
what's
sense.
the other option if you don't buy or lease?
You rent it.
If you steal it,
If you
don't get
steal it,
anything.
yeah.
If you steal it, you don't get the free
Oh
charge.
my God.
Yeah.
No free charging if you steal it. Yeah.
No, I am. You win. You've stumped me.
I also asked about the onboard charger. Is it 6.6, 7.2?
6.6.
That's not bad.
Right.
I mean, they
It could have
say
been a 3.3. That thing is trash.
Yes.
It's-
Yes. 6.6 is fine.
they say it'll go from with the 6.6 on kilowatt onboard charger, it'll go from low to full in 9 hours. I believe that with fast charging, they were saying like up to 80% in 30 minutes. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
That's my recollection. I'm not reading that from my notes. So
Of course, you said up to. Whenever the
Yeah.
effect says up to,
right.
never that.
So to
One
clarify,
time you'll get that.
To clarify my derision towards 3.3, it would work on something like an Aptera or a Candy, something where that actually would fill up the pack quickly, but something with a giant pack and a not so wonderful watt hours per mile. Not saying that the bZ doesn't do okay. It's not an Aptera level fuel sipper, so a 3.3 is not the same on that chunker versus the little one.
And not to veer too off, I was talking to my property manager today. My apartment complex was just bought this year, and the new owners are doing a ton of renovations that were desperately needed. One of the things they're doing, so they're
It's
talking
jacking
about.
up your rent.
Yeah.
Have you ever visited California, sir?
Yeah.
I mean, it's jacked to begin with.
Yeah. Huge.
Thank you. George and I both know that feeling.
Oh, yeah.
It's they're talking about replacing the wooden parking covers where under which we park now, because they're literally falling down. They're talking about putting solar ones in there,
Right.
and they're talking a whole bunch of wild, like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. And I'm like, look, let me give you one promo, and you guys can criticize me. Is this where I hold up a sign that says "Fight me"? I told him, I said, here's what you do. All you need to do to encourage electric vehicle use in your apartment is put a 110 40 amp circuit in every parking place. Yes, some people will want more, but everyone will be able to get a great deal of utility out of it. It will cost you very little, and it will benefit everyone rather than putting 3 high-speed spots by the leasing office.
Just to clarify, Russell, you can't do 40 amp 110.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's
20 amp, 20 amp.
120
Yeah,
amp?
but none of the others would take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a server rack.
But
I always go 110 instead. Yeah.
And it's 120.
But
It's 120.
yes.
120 20 amp would be adequate.
if they do lower voltage 240, like 30 amp, like put a bunch of dryer outlets out, that would still be a little bit faster, but on the less expensive side for the installation.
Yeah, I mean, I think the important part is if you put one in every parking space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will
Then-
buy an EV.
Well, no, but at least everybody
No.
could.
Yes.
Everybody could. That's the thing. Like, as
Are your
opposed to
parking spots assigned?
oh.
If you pay extra.
Have you ever?
That sounds like a sore spot.
He's right. Well, in my particular apartment complex, we get one parking spot for free, and you can buy an additional open parking spot that is not reserved, and there's sort of a scrum for those every night. Yeah, like almost every apartment in San Diego, there's nowhere near enough parking for the number of people that live here. Georgia, same thing.
Oh yeah, it's just too many cars.
Yeah.
California is 100% too many car culture, and when we have multiple people living in a house, especially when you have students doubling and tripling up, that means you could have 4 people in 4 separate individual cars.
Yeah.
But you
So
only get 2 parking spaces.
If it's an amenity and they're paying for it, yeah, the level 1 is probably all you'd want to see, unless they're going to like put in a charging solution. But then you got to pay for the vendor to manage that, and you're right. That would take care of all of it. Just put a bunch of 110s out there.
I'm just thinking, you know what I mean? Like, again, it would get you. It would send the right message. It would be cost effective, and
you can regenerate 40 miles a night on a regular EV, not a hyper efficient one, from a 110 overnight, and also not the opposite of a hyper efficient one like my tank, or even worse, the Hummer. Both of those guys you're looking at under 3 miles an hour.
I don't know of any Hummer EV buyers who are living in apartments. That's just
in California.
California, kind of a contradiction. I spend all my money on my car. I have to live in an apartment.
Well, no, they're living in the Hummer in some apartment complex's parking lot.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
I'm seeing wisdom
Russell,
there.
That I was talking about how the first year with my Model X, I only used a regular old outlet in my garage, and it was only 15 amp,
110,
120 volt, and there were a few times where I needed more than that, and I'd go somewhere else and charge. But eventually, I installed a standard residential charging station in my garage. But you can, if you have nearby supercharging and or fast charging of any sort, DC fast charging, and for most of your drives you're plugged into this regular old outlet and trickle charging overnight, then you can use the other one maybe once a month instead of every week. So I think it's fine.
And let's also one benefit of this, it's better for your battery pack. Yep. It's way better for your battery pack. Sure, if you had a free supercharger that you could plug into every night, maybe you could tailor it or whatever, I guess, right, through the app, but you still don't need to shove electrons in there at high speed. It's better for the pack to get a lower rate of charge. I'm looking at Paul, hoping he's not going, "You're a dumbass. Why did you say that out loud?"
Both level 1 and level 2 are both fine. But yeah, compared to supercharging.
You don't want to supercharge every day if you can help it.
Yeah, doing AC charging instead of DC charging is a lot better in the long run. Yeah.
Okay, I think I have addressed all of your points, Mr. Connor. Anybody, and please, any other questions, comments on the Toyota?
Do we think the dealers are going to scalp them like some of the others?
Oh, yeah.
Short answer, yes.
Or is corporate saying you can't do that, like Ford?
I have not seen language like that from Toyota. I'm frankly shocked that Ford's taken the kind of strong stand that they have with their dealers. I would be surprised to see that from Toyota. I don't know. They didn't.
Well, the next thing is, can they do that with Southeast Toyota? They've got that albatross around their neck.
Well, right. There's Southeast Toyota, and then there's the rest of the country Toyota, and that's. It's two different entities. So what applies in California may not fly in Florida. So I don't know. I mean, that's obviously going to be a hurdle for sales if every dealer is trying to get a $10,000 premium.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's gonna hurt Toyota.
Too bad the consumers won't just look at that and say, "Hey, no," and then eventually
I'm going to go buy a Subaru.
Right. That's supply and demand. But unfortunately, they're looking at the demand and supply side, and they're just, let's crank it up. We get what we can.
They're for-profit businesses. Why wouldn't they?
The advantage of having come out with this car 5 years ago would have been that they could have probably gotten away with that bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when you could go buy a Mach-E, you could go buy the Solterra, you could go buy an ID4, you could go buy an Ioniq 5 or an EV6.
You want how much? Oh, I'll go get a car that's not just a wet noodle. Not that there's anything wrong with just being unoffensive, unobtrusive, but once you start charging me the amount of money for a premium / luxury EV, I'm gonna go up there and get a premium or luxury EV for the same money.
Right? Yeah. Why pay luxury prices for milquetoast when? Yeah.
I mean,
Russell, do you think they're serious about EVs now?
That's a good question.
Oh man, this is where I never get invited.
No.
This is where I never get invited to another Toyota event ever.
Okay,
again.
yeah, I understand that.
So no, I will say this. I mean, I will say this. I'm going to take them at their word very narrowly. And I'm going to say, put up or shut up, because I don't care about promises. I don't care about plans. I see things. Casey just
Lost
bailed.
Casey?
That's it.
Well,
I
it
got
lasted.
sick of him. They're definitely. I don't know. I just don't know, and I don't really feel good. I mean, are they serious? They're serious about selling cars. That's what they want to do. Is say they want to sell cars. Are they serious about leading a revolution of cleaner vehicles? I think that was back in the early 2000s. I think they shot their shot then, and they felt like they got of it lucky. And I think now they're in the business of selling cars. Not that they weren't then too, but that's my opinion, and it's based on nothing but stupid stuff stewing around in my dome.
Oh no, you have evidence to support that. I mean, they've not walked the walk, and I'm glad this vehicle's coming out this year. So it's now I can take them at their word that these are going to be delivered. And I think the real answer comes into volume. What are we going to see? Is it going to be 5,000 or 50,000? And which one of those numbers is it closer to over the next 12 months?
Will they take a strong stance with their dealers, trying to prevent the dealers from ripping off their customers? Absolutely. There's a lot of ways that Toyota could send a message that this is an important vehicle for them. And then I see like the big slide on the screen, and I see the bZ on a little platform, and I see the words on the screen behind him, and it says electrified vehicles. And I go, oh.
Yeah. No one's falling for that. Just like there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid, and electrified is not the same as electric. We all know, and yet they just don't learn. It's ridiculous.
And they're all car companies are, but Toyota's also been very vocal in complaining about the confusion and the lack of clarity in the marketplace and how the customers, and I'm like, you guys have been pumping the market full of bullshit too. This didn't happen all of a sudden. Like, these customers didn't just put a bag over their head and not listen to you while you were talking. They heard what you said and it didn't make sense.
Right. Trump through the waters and then go, why is it so muddy and murky? Even though we've been tromping through it.
Casey posted in the chat that Toyota booted him. I think they did. I think they did. So, yeah, I hope they're serious. It'd be nice if a car maker the size of Toyota that has the ability to potentially mass produce a whole bunch of interesting consumer vehicles that are electric would be great, Will it happen? I don't know.
Time will tell.
Yeah. And who here isn't old enough to remember the early 2000s? We were like, we just got to get hybrids in like 2% of the country, and 17 years later, we made progress. We're not where we want to be, but we've made progress. So
hybrids were never able to jump the chasm, and it looks like electric vehicles will. So that's a good thing.
The good thing about hybrid vehicles is there's millions of them out there, and they replaced gas cars.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
And there's a resurgence in hybrids this year because of the price of gas.
Yeah.
Well,
and Toyota's in a good position because they have 17 hybrid vehicle options now or something.
Something like that, yeah. Well, look at the Maverick truck.
A lot of buzz on that one.
And it makes sense. It's priced right. It performs well. It gets decent Mpge. Is it the most fuel efficient? No, but is it way better than a Ranger? Yeah. Hell yeah.
Or an F-150.
Or an F-150. So, or a Tacoma.
Yeah. and going back to Toyota hybrid model line, they have a Sienna hybrid that gets 36 miles per gallon, in a minivan. That's insane. Those old school minivans got like 16 to 18 mpgs in town. They're awful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And the damn things idled in front of schools everywhere for hours a day.
Yeah.
And again, give me auto stop. Give me in fact, I'm not a big fan of auto stop in gas cars, but
in a hybrid,
it's fantastic because the AC works, the radio works, everybody's comfortable, and the tailpipe isn't 100% all the time spewing out exhaust. There was it's funny. I was sitting out waiting for my carpool friend to pick me up for work yesterday, and I'm just like, every truck that drives by, there's just like this cloud. Hey, Casey, welcome back. There's this cloud of exhaust. I'm just like, oh God, this just stinks. And there was a video today, and forgive me, I don't remember from who, but it was one of these visual things. It was like, what if cars actually, like, if you could see what was coming out of the tailpipe?
Mm-hmm.
And for them, they were saying like every mile, I want to say, or 5 pounds of charcoal, and they're showing like more and more cars in this charcoal mountain. And what if you could actually see if it came out purple and dense, and it'd be like, oh my God, but people don't see it.
The laws will be changed quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think the only way to get that to happen is to get more people out of cars, more people on bicycles and on walking, to be able to walk down the streets filled with cars and go, wow, this smells like hell. What are we doing?
If they can't tune it out, like make it one of those smells that our system just never tunes out, like sulfur or human waste, and
maybe
horse manure.
Well, we were able to tune that out 100 years ago. So
yeah, that's true.
Own an EV for 4 or 6 weeks, and you'll realize what you've been breathing in forever, because it's quite a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hate to say it, but we've kind of like done a show.
Yeah, basically.
My apologies to everyone who had news stories. I think we do need to mention at least Paul's story, because it's directly connected to this topic.
Yes.
And then we're going to do some shout outs and go home. So my apologies to everyone else that submitted stuff. Paul, what did you have for us this week?
So the summary of the story is the current EV tax credits were eligible for a manufacturer until they sold 200 vehicles, or 200,000 vehicles. So Tesla's rebates are gone, Chevys are gone, I think Nissans are gone, or very soon will be gone. And the story this week was Toyota's almost gone. So right when they're about to release their sort of real EV, that's a mass market car, if you're not first in line to buy it, you're not going to get the $7,500 federal tax credit. So if you're at all interested in it, call your local dealer, make a deposit, get in line, because they're projecting the credits will go away around June. So not that much work. Now, we also mentioned earlier in the show, Subaru hasn't really sold any plug-in vehicles, so they might be the workaround. If you don't mind a Subaru badge on your Toyota EV, maybe that's an option to investigate.
Yep. And the way it's going to work is that once they hit the cap, then the countdown starts. That next quarter, they can sell unlimited cars with the full credit. But then it starts to step down quarter after quarter. It cuts in half and half and half.
Okay.
Right. It phases out. And so if they do hit the 200,000 in June, so that's the end of Q2. So then all of Q3, they'll be able to sell at the full tax credit, because but the numbers don't get reported until the next quarter, right? So they won't know if they've hit it until sometime in July, and then they're already selling it. So they get that'll put them through.
So the consumer gets
August,
another
September.
quarter to buy it.
Those numbers go instantly, though. The reporting for that go instantly. So if they hit it early, that's on them.
Right. Yeah. So if they hit it in June, they'll be able to sell July, August, September, all with the full credit. Then after that, it'll get cut in half, and then it gets cut in half again. So it'll go to 3750, 1850, or whatever the numbers are, 1875, and then it goes away.
So the next question is, now that since they're working with dealers, it's a lot harder for them to hit that end of the quarter so that the whole next quarter is free. Unlike the guys who have their whole chain from factory to consumer.
Yeah, Tesla would have hit it at the end of June, but then they said we don't want to hit it until the start of the next quarter. So all of a sudden, Canada got a bunch of cars.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to point out that in connection with Paul's story, if the Build Back Better bill passes, and that is an if, because we still have to get it through the Senate, then you would have additional tax credits, and this will go away, and you'll get to have the cars with all the credits for Toyota.
But the maximum credit will be for American-made vehicles, not Japanese. So either American Toyota's going to lose out on that, or they're going to have to build a factory in the U.S. to pump them out.
A union
they will still at least get more.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but only if it's built in the U.S. in a union factory, and that's
in
not
Michigan.
Toyota. Well, some senators have more power than others, right?
And then check your local states. Like in Colorado, you'll get $2,500 on top of the federal for buying one of these cars.
Wow.
So,
See, and that's sweet too.
so that's $10,000 if you live in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Oregon you can get 2,500, and then if you are below a certain income threshold, you can get another 2,500 on top of that. So you could get 12,500 off.
Wow.
Yeah. Imagine getting a deluxe BZ for like 37. That's not so bad.
Does California still have their low income credit as well?
You know what? I honestly
know it
don't
was.
know.
I know it was like on the rocks at some point.
I don't know, but I don't know. It depends on. Well, I'll find out. It depends on if I actually pick up my car from the corner.
George is
If it isn't
having
up
some
on
car
blocks and stripped.
Luckily,
Oh,
this
no.
is a small town, so unless something crosses over from the cornfield right next to it, maybe some of the local turkeys might jump on it, do some graffiti, and go home. But that's about it. And I do mean turkeys. We have roving flocks that take over whole blocks here in town.
At
So,
least you don't have the
Wow.
donkeys. Just wild donkeys just running through.
hey, don't trust me. Don't even
wish
get
any
it
more
out to
wild
be out
animals
there.
on us.
Between the wild turkeys, sometimes there's a cougar. See, there was one right behind me.
Yeah.
Well, no, I wasn't wishing it on you. There's another part of California where there's just wild donkeys just running through.
One town over, there's wild chickens.
Oh, nice.
Wild feral
Well, they're not really
chickens.
wild, but it's like the I don't know whose chickens they are, but they basically take over whatever passes. Calling it a town square would really be pushing it up in glitz. But if you drive into town, you got to be really careful driving through because there's whole flocks of chickens running around. So,
That's
yeah.
insane.
But we'll see if red if red staring issue is unfixable or whatever it is.
Bruce in the chat points out that some California cities have significant credits too. So there's before you buy, investigate this stuff, see what's available so that you know going into the dealer what you can expect, and so that it may be an unscrupulous dealer might not take advantage of you and steal your credits or something.
And some local utilities have it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
There. And the dealers aren't going to know all of this stuff. You can just count on that. So the only one looking out for you is going to be you.
Yeah. And some places
do
will
your
also
homework.
operate on used cars too, but that's not as common.
Right.
Just be an informed consumer. Do your research, not just on the car, but also on the programs available to you, because you might be able to walk away with a massive bargain.
But do your homework, because like in Colorado, if you go to a dealer and you want to buy a RAV Prime, they don't have any, and they don't say, "Oh, you should order one and wait because you'll get $10,000." They will sell you what they have on the lot, and play dumb. So,
but we had a whole show on this about money talk. So, be an informed consumer.
Be informed. Well, once again, my apologies to everyone who submitted news stories this week that we didn't get to so that I could fatuously talk about one car that I drove last week. But
there's the show title.
That's the car with a stupid name.
Yeah, I think.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Russell facetiously talked
Some
about
car that I
one
drove
vehicle
last
week.
Yeah, that's a
some
good
car
title.
I drove last week. Okay, maybe I like that. Some car, and then I've got to append the real name on there, so the SEO gets at least somewhat optimized. Yeah. Let's do some shout outs to go home. I'm going to start with Mark Coughlin.
I would like to say, if you are watching this video at this time, please give us a thumbs up. Press that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's free. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps this channel out. And why not help us out? We need all the help we can get. That's why.
Oh, God, look at me. I'm a mess. Yes. As someone who's not a mess, Mr. Casey Green.
So, as I was mentioning, over at youtube.com/Casey Green, KACEYGREEN. You can check out the Rivian delivery video with Brandon. And every Sunday you can chat with us, come in and out as you please, and then catch us up again here on Wednesdays.
Definitely do that. Mr. Connor, what's going on?
I want to give a shout out to Plug in America. So if you want to be an informed consumer about EVs, they are a great resource. They have an incentives page where you can find out the list of all the incentives they know about, including stuff to have a charging station installed at your house, which if you're going to buy an EV, that's not a bad thing to have. So check out pluginamerica.com. As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net.
Definitely go there and argue with Patrick in the comments. It's one of my favorite sports. Mr. Guzik.
All I can say is if you're in Colorado, check us out, boulderhc.com. We fix hybrids, EVs. We sell sometimes hybrids and EVs. We don't got any for sale right now. So
we can get
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, Subaru, right?
We have a Subaru non-hybrid, non-EV that actually we're selling for a customer who did buy a RAV4 Prime and asked us to unload her old Subaru. So that's kind of cool.
Wow. Nice. Nice. Last and certainly not least, Georgia McKenzie, what's going on in your world?
Not much.
No, everything, trust me.
It's busy.
It is a busy world in Georgia land that I will not get into. So I'm just going to remind you, you hung out with us this long. You might as well hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, your individual likes per show actually help us immensely. So don't be afraid to do that. We won't think you're stalking us. And while you're at it, bounce on over to the Tesla Life. Mark's got all the Tesla information for you, reading all that stock stuff so you don't have to, and then telling you what the heck it all means. So thank you so much for that, Mark Coughlin. We appreciate you. Hit like and subscribe over there. And then Casey is constantly, I just watched you download something. What was it? Was it Sunday or was it yesterday? You got like a new update, and I'm following you on your update. So yes, Casey is going to be having probably some video about the new update and all the new changes. He was pretty happy with some of the new things. I don't know what the heck they are. I'm not going to pretend I do. So there you go. Listen to Casey about it because it is out of my whole field of expertise. And that's why you're going to hit like and subscribe for him too, because he's going to cover that for you, break it down, and make it make sense for you. And Paul has one car to sell at Boulder Hybrid. Run, I tell you.
It's not even a hybrid.
It's not even a hybrid. It's probably my car. No.
That car better be gone next week. Yeah. One car. Come on, people. Go buy that
one
car.
So
one gas car in Colorado.
And Patrick's probably going to have something. Are you going to be doing anything with the article you were about to talk about today on carswithcords.net, Patrick?
I might. I might save it for this show next week, or I might blog about it. It's a cool article.
Why not both?
Because it's actually a very good article. I actually looked at that myself earlier this week, but I had a couple of other things I wanted to talk about. So don't forget, head on over to carswithcords.net and see what Patrick's thinking, because it's always something interesting that will make you think too. And thank you so much for joining. I'm going to bounce back to Russell.
Thank you so much, Georgia. I want to reinforce, I suppose, my pleading and begging for go to youtube.com/whatdrivesus. Watch the videos. Maybe share them on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever you like. Share them with some friends. Send them emails. I don't care. We would love to see the support. That support directly translates to how much access we get to new vehicles. So if you enjoy those reports from us, your participation there directly helps us, and it doesn't cost you a penny. So thank you for that. Do like and subscribe, please, because again, that helps us well and doesn't cost you any money. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. I want to thank Georgia McKenzie, Paul Guzik, Casey Green, Mark Coughlin, and even Patrick Connor, LEG, for being on this fantastic show. I appreciate all the questions and the interest in the BZ. And no, Toyota is not sending me a check. They're not sending me a T-shirt. I will. I got one of these.
A water bottle?
I got a plastic.
Wow, not bottle. Even like a metal one. Dang.
I'm not complaining. Actually, I think that's kind of cool. It's a double-walled plastic water bottle.
No, I'm going to be annoyed on your behalf.
Are you?
Step up the swag. We want some bribes here, man.
I hope it's at least recycled plastic. Come on, Toyota.
I know.
so, you know, we just do this because we love the technology, we love the fun, and we think, you know, it would be better if we bought better. Anyway, enough of that. Thanks to all of you out there for downloading and or listening. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. Nicely done, Casey. See you, everybody.
Stay positive, test negative.